Good afternoon and welcome to St. John's United Methodist Church here in Santa Fe. You're being welcomed into the parsonage that you provide Jane and I to live. We're grateful for that. Today we have plants surrounding me that are here in our parsonage, and yet I look outside the windows and I see signs that winter is not yet done. The grass is still brown and the leaves that cover it are going to be our mulch for the future. Springtime is yet to be. We look forward with hope to that time of restoration and peace. In the Bible are many examples where God has given people a sign of hope, of restoration and peace. In one example, the Israelites were enslaved in Egypt, under the hands of the Pharaoh. They were enslaved to carry mud and bricks and build all sorts of facilities for the Pharaoh. And yet God came and said, I see your misery. I'm going to deliver you into a good and broad land, into a land that's flowing with milk and honey. We know that land was Beulah land, the land of Canaan, and yet they couldn't see it yet, but they could hear the words of Moses speaking the words of God. And so God did that very thing. He delivered them into a land that was flowing with milk and honey. But in the midst was a transition point. A transition in the wilderness where sometimes there was no water to drink and there's no food to eat. And yet God, through Moses, struck the rock and the water came out and they drank of it. And God showered manna from heaven. They didn't know where it came from. It was a miracle. People have been celebrating that act ever since. God sustains our lives and brings us hope that we will find restoration and peace one day. So we're in a garden scene today, and God is giving us a time of hope in transition that we never expected, even 4 days ago. We never expected to be here today when we did not gather and worship in the sanctuary in the way that we've always done it before. We always gathered in that way. Yet God is giving us new tools, technology to communicate through the internet and to produce music that you can hear together and share together. And we'll be looking forward to that in the days ahead. God's given us a message of hope that even though we suspend our worship celebrations for the next several weeks, God's going to restore us someday to this Garden of Eden that we cannot see yet fully. And God's given us instructions, two specific instructions. And the first is to keep our facilities open to the hungry in Santa Fe. Our Bagging In Food Pantry is one of the largest ministries in our church. And yet we're going to do it differently. God says, don't do it the way you've always been doing it. Do it safely, cautiously, self-distancing and quarantine if necessary, to provide the food in food boxes as people are driving through outside. So we're looking forward to a different way of doing pantry this Tuesday and Thursday in the coming weeks as well. And then on the noontime and weeknights, we're going to keep our facilities open for 12-step groups. For some people and most people in those groups, those are or have been a life-saving group for them. So we don't want to deprive them of that in their crucial moments of life. And so God's given us a vision of hope for the future unafraid to restore us into the garden that God is providing. And we cannot see that yet, but we know it will be true someday, some way. I hope you'll have a good week this week. And don't hesitate to call on your staff here at St. John's or to reach out to one another in caring and service and to provide one another instructions for cleanliness that is next to godliness. We hope for that to be the case, and someday we'll be delivered from this misery that we're in called the coronavirus. Hope you have a great week. God bless you. Bye-bye.